That's why it's really important to have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
Really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crypto degenerates, ducks and squirrels, welcome to an interesting and special episode of Book Club. I'm going to be your host tonight. Mr. Brendan is joining me. He is on an airplane, so he's not going to be talking a whole lot because there's people on the airplane. But hello, Brendan. It's good to see you, amigo. For those of you guys that don't know, Brendan's a DGen Roundtable's macroeconomics specialist, and I am the DGen Roundtable's tower climbing and apparently get Mama Dog running out in town getting me citation specialist. So we're here tonight to use our special fantastic powers to read to you the SwitchX protocol white paper. So for those of you guys that don't know, not Brendan the anonymous bean, but Brandon, the RagsToRiches R2R fellow. I think he's recently rebranded. I don't know. He goes through a whole bunch of rebrands. I can never remember what his name is. But anyways, Brandon used to be known as RagsToRiches. Now I think it's something like Build the Tech or whatever. But anyways, he is building some tech, and so we're here going to read the white paper for his SwitchX protocol, which is it's a swap aggregator. So and I think that there's a little bit more to it than that, but it's going to be a good show tonight. So welcome to the stream, ladies and germs. If I was a wise cookie, I would post in the DGen Roundtable that we are liggity live. But yeah, that's what's going on. So welcome. And I suppose before we get into the protocol, I will go ahead and do some of these good old standard, everybody knows it, everybody loves it, chat motherfucking shout outs. Let's see who's going to be here with us tonight for the hanging out and checking outing of this fantastic white paper where we've got the J6 house who says, let's go. Good to see you, broski. Like to see all the new friendly faces. We've got Hex Force 1. Cool. Can't wait. We've got Brendan here with us tonight. This is going to be a great episode. We'll have Brendan on the show on Wednesday. Yes. Excuse me. This coming Wednesday. We're going to have him and we're going to be talking, and it's going to be cool and awesome. I'm going to be a wonderful little fly on the wall. Brendan's going to lead that. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We've also got Mr. Hex Monkey 369. What's up, Hex Monkey? Good to see you, broski. Let's fucking go. Friday night, and we'll be reading a white paper. Yes. Some folks like to watch Saturday Night Live on Saturday night. Some folks like to read books and white papers on Friday. So welcome to the DGen Roundtable. Good to see you, Hex Monkey. Good real life and internet friend of mine. We fucking love it. So there we goes. And yes, Mr. Brendan is joining in from an airplane. Starlink is a fantastic service. What a cool function. So, ladies and germs, without any further ado, this is the Wicked white paper. So let's take a look. So we're over on GitHub.com. This is GitHub Build a Tech SwitchX White Paper. So if you guys want to go and read this white paper yourself, I will go ahead and drop the link into the comments. Yeah, maybe we do need a wine and white paper show. Yeah, we got Whiskey Wednesday. Then we could also cover wine and white papers. Read so many white papers for all of the things that are in the crypto sphere. But that'd be Brendan's got the wine, I've got the brewskis. Let's fucking go, broski. Let's fucking go. I've dropped the link, by the way, for all the homies in the chats. If you guys want to read this white paper with us, then that's where you would click on over and find it. Before we get crazy into the white paper, though, I did copy and paste this this white paper, and I threw it into ChatGPT because there's a lot of things in here that I did not understand. So, basically, the short summary for the SwitchX white paper is that it's a pulse chain decentralized exchange for concentrated liquidity exchange that mixes V3.3 governance, hard cap tokenomics, adaptive fees, MEV recapture, automated liquidity management, and a whole bunch of other things. The white paper holds a huge pitch that older V3 dexes rely on endless inflation, while SwitchX caps Switch, the token, at 1 billion tokens and ends emissions after 2.5 years. So there is going to be a token, and it does end after 2.5 years. So there you guys go. There's a token you can buy. Whoop-a-dee-doo. So in plain English, basically it's trying to be a smarter pulse chain dex where long-term lockers and committed users win and farmers are pushed towards locking instead of dumping. There's a really cool feature about that where you get voting governance power when you lock. Or excuse me, not when you lock, when you burn. You get permanent voting powers when you burn the token. But the trading fees help buy back the switch, and the MEV bot and arbitrage value gets captured by the protocol instead of outside bots. So if you guys are a bot farmer, sorry to say, this protocol will not be giving you lucrative arbitrage opportunities. But the basic idea is that there's a finite supply plus long-term alignment, and the protocol owns the value capture. So the protocol will be capturing the value instead of outside people or inside people with bots. Who the fuck knows? So the protocol will make itself stronger. So far, there has been there. I don't think there's a whole lot of information as to when it's launching and stuff. We'll probably get more of that from Brandon on Wednesday. But yeah, the biggest risk, I suppose, or the biggest query is like, what's the volume going to look like? Because without real world volume, then like all these protocols, all these dexes, all these everythings matter very little. It doesn't matter like when the people build the really cool stuff if nobody uses it. So Pulse Chain and Brandon has been doing quite a bit of good things. So I'm excited to see where it goes. So without any further ado, let's go over the table of context. So first, we've got the abstract as we're going to be going over that. Then the intro, the protocol architecture overview, concentrated liquidity engine comes after that. Then we've got an adaptive fee system, the switch token economics, the vote escrowed governance, gauge voting and fee distribution, farming and auto lock mechanism, MEV recapture, which that part seems pretty nifty to me, the MEV recapture. They've got automated liquidity management, security model, what sets SwitchX apart, which wristwatches are Swiss wristwatches, and the emission math appendix, and then some references. So we might not get into the references and everything, but this is what we're going through. And by the way, before we get into it, the last bit of the chat shoutouts, we've been joined by my good friend Josh, Mr. Slide 180. Prost to you, good sir. Prost indeed. So glad that we could have you with us tonight on this wonderful white paper reading. So we're gonna be learning, Mr. Josh, about a new protocol on Pulse Chain. So this is called a white paper. So I'm gonna be talking a lot, so I need to get that drink out of the way in the beginning. All right. So the abstract. SwitchX is a concentrated liquidity decentralized exchange protocol built on Pulse Chain that combines a custom V3.3 governance model with novel mechanisms for supply scarcity, MEV recapture, and sustainable rewards. Unlike existing V3.3 implementations that suffer from perpetual inflation and mercenary capital, SwitchX introduces a hard cap token supply with a 2.5-year emission schedule. Permanent burn locks with a 2x voting power multiplier, automatic farming, reward locking, protocol fee buybacks, drip-based reward smoothing, and an integrated MEV recapture system that redistributes extracted value back to governance participants. Together, these mechanisms create a self-reinforcing flywheel where long-term commitment is rewarded supply progressively contracts, and protocol value accrues to those most aligned with the system success. So also, guys, as we go through this this white paper, I'm gonna be asking ChatGPT to put this into dummy terms for new folks. Bam. So as we go through this white paper, I'm going to be the I'm going to be your conduit between this smart and theoretical stuff. We're going to boil down everything into like a couple quick and easy sentences. So that's the general gist. Also, we've been joined by Mr. Marcus72. Marcus72 says, "What up, all? What's up, Marcus72? Good to see you, broski. Good to see you indeed." And also, before I forget, I need to post a. Oh, also, guys, happy Bitcoin Day. I was just made aware of that in the DGen Roundtable telegrams, but right now I need to be posting the fact that we are live, so that way the folks in the telegram will come and find us. So grabbing a quick little copy and paste, rolling on over to the telegram, type in "we are live!" exclamation point, bam, and there it is. Okay, we're gonna pin it, notify all the members. Excuse me. And that's all that we need to do for that. So there we go. All right. Telegram is taken care of. Let's see what is going on with this super duper dummy version. So the main idea of this abstract is that SwitchX is trying to be a smarter DEX where loyal users win, dumpers get less advantage, token supply is limited, and trading activity feeds back into the protocol instead of leaking out to bots. So that is the basic dummy version. Dummy version for this. Bam. And now I'm going and getting it ready for the next part. All right, so introduction. The problem. Existing V3 decentralized exchanges powered by Solidly and iterated upon by Velodrome and Aerodrome introduced a powerful alignment mechanism. Voters direct emissions to pools, earn trading fees from those pools, and lock tokens to gain voting power. This creates a feedback loop between liquidity provision and governance participation. However, these protocols share several structural weaknesses. Perpetual inflation. The token emissions never end. It grows indefinitely. The supply grows indefinitely, diluting existing holders and creating persistent sell pressure. The system depends on continuous demand growth outpacing supply expansion, a condition that rarely holds long term. Mercenary capital. Without meaningful lock commitment mechanisms, large holders can lock briefly, extract maximum emissions, and exit. The absence of early exit options means locked capital becomes an illiquid liability, discouraging genuine long-term participation. Reward volatility. Trading fees are distributed immediately and entirely in the period they accrue. This creates volatile, unpredictable reward systems that make governance yields difficult to underwrite and incentivize short-term vote hopping. MEV extraction. Automated market makers are prime targets for sandwich attacks and arbitrage extraction. In standard V3.3 systems, I'm just going to say V3. In standard V3 systems, this value is captured by external bots rather than being returned to the protocol and its participants. So MEV stands for minor extracted value, for those of you guys that don't know. Static fees. Fixed fee tiers fail to adapt to market conditions. During high volatility, fees may be too low, leaving value on the table for MEV actors. And during low volatility, fees may be too high, repelling volume. Manual liquidity management. Concentrated liquidity requires active position management. Without automation, liquidity fragments across stale ranges, reducing capital efficiency and increasing impermanent loss. This part, I think, is quite fascinating. I'm very interested to learn more about this. So we got the thesis, the SwitchX protocol thesis. The core structural insight behind SwitchX is that V3 tokenomics work better when supply is finite and actively contracting. Every existing V3 protocol, Solidly, Velodrome, Aerodrome, Thena, Equalizer, relies on perpetual inflation with no supply cap. Their governance locks dilute over time. Velodrome's launch locks have fallen from 34% to 7% as supply 5x'd, requiring anti-dilution rebases that only partially offset the damage. SwitchX eliminates this entirely. A hard cap supply with a definitive emission end date means governance power strengthens over time rather than weakening, and token holders are never diluted by new issuance. SwitchX addresses the structural weakness of existing V3 protocols through a coordinated set of mechanisms. Fixed supply with thermal emissions. A hard cap of 1 billion Switch tokens, with all emissions completing within 2.5 years. After that, no new tokens are ever minted. Burn locks for permanent alignment. Holders can irreversibly burn their tokens in exchange for permanent non-decaying voting power at a 2x multiplier, creating genuine skin in the game. Automatic reward locking. A configurable percentage of farming rewards are automatically locked into the VE NFTs at maximum duration, compounding governance alignment without requiring manual action. Automatic fee buybacks. Unlike every other V3 protocol, which passes through fees through as raw tokens, SwitchX automatically converts 50% of all trading fees into Switch on the open market, creating permanent revenue-driven buy pressure that scales with protocol volume and continues indefinitely after emissions end. Drip-based reward smoothing. Rather than distributing all fees immediately, rewards are pooled and released at configurable rate per period, reducing volatility and extending reward duration. MEV recapture. An integrated after swap hook system detects arbitrage opportunities and executes backrun trades, returning the profit to V3 voters and protocol treasury. Adaptive fees, number 7. Volatility responsive fee curves, same block MEV surcharges, and cross-DEX Oracle-based LVR fees ensure the protocol captures fair value across all market conditions. Automated liquidity management. Protocol native ALM vaults manage concentrated liquidity positions using TWAP driven rebalancing with volatility adaptive range widths. My goodness, guys, that is a lot of fancy words. We're going to do the thing where I copy and paste it and say, what does this mean for dummies like me? So Control C, and then we'll throw it on into ChatGPT. Bam. Let's see what it tells us. Keep the meaning intact, but skip the jargon so no new DeFi person can actually follow it. So, oh man. This is a lot of information. Okay. I'm waiting for it. It's basically, man, it's giving me a long. Okay, super simple summary. So SwitchX is trying to fix the problems of older DeFi exchanges. Older systems often print tokens forever. They attract short-term farmers, and they pay unstable rewards, and they lose money to bots. And also they make liquidity too hard to manage. So SwitchX solves that by limiting the token supply, rewarding the long-term commitment, buying back its own token, and smoothing rewards over time, capturing bot value, adjusting fees automatically, and helping users manage liquidity. So basically, it's building a DEX where loyal users get rewarded and dumpers have less power and bots leak less. So the token doesn't get inflated forever. Hooray! So there you guys go. Super simple summary. All right. And I'm going to do this next one before I read it so that way it'll be ready by the time that we're done. All right. Shift enter. Bam. Okay. So for number 3, the protocol architecture. Let's see. My goodness, that looks greasy. So we'll go back up to it, up to the top, and then we will just start up here. Now, I don't think that I need to read this box stuff for you guys, but wow, this is a long one. All right, let's see. SwitchX is built on a modular architecture where each layer composes with the next through well-defined interfaces. This design allows independent upgrades to individual components without disrupting the broader system. So you got the voting layer on the top, the ALM vault layer after that. Oh, excuse me. The farming layer after that, then the plugin layer, then the periphery layer, and then finally the core layer. Now, I don't know what any of this stuff inside of here means. So if you guys do, then congratulations. That is a good thing to know. But yes, Brendan actually was right a couple minutes ago. MEV bots are a huge problem. Yes, miner extracted value. They basically ensure that your maximum slippage is taken and guaranteed. Also, we've been joined by Mr. Hex Glenn, who says, Happy Friday, DGen gang. Happy Friday to you too. Hex Glenn, what's up, broski? Good to have you with us. Hell yeah. We got the whole fucking crew in tonight. That's a good one. All right. So next up, layer descriptions. Core. The automated market maker engine, the V4 pool implements concentrated liquidity with tick-based pricing, callback secured token transfers, and a 3-tier fee architecture. V4 Factory deploys pools deterministically via create2 with role-based access control. On the periphery, we have user-faced contracts. Non-fungible position manager wraps liquidity positions such as ERC2 or 721 tokens. And then the swap router provides stateless swap execution. Quoter enables the off-chain swap simulation. So this is the description of a plugin, and this looks really fucking complicated. So we're just not going to read this part. I don't think that we need to read the plugin, but basically an extensive hook system attached to the pools when advanced management is needed. Bam. Huzzah. All right, next up, we've got the farming, the perpetual reward distribution. V4 Eternal Farming manages incentive programs with virtual tick-based reward accounting. Farming Center coordinates position enrollment and reward collection, including the auto lock mechanism. Then we got the ALM Vault, the automated liquidity management. So that wraps, it wraps concentrated liquidity positions as fungible ERC20 shares using a 2-position strategy. Hybrid rebalance manager implements a volatility adaptive state machine that adjusts position ranges based on TWAP signals. I forgot what TWAP is. Time weighted average percentage, maybe. That might be what it stands for. Then we got the voting, the V3 governance stack, voting escrow, manages the voting NFTs with time locked and permanent burn lock variants. Voter coordinates gauge voting, emission distribution, and fee collection. Minter controls the fixed emission schedule with halving phases, and the protocol fee manager handles fee to switch buybacks. Drip voting rewards smooths fee distribution. Oh, drip voting rewards smooths the fee distribution over time. So now, what does all of this mean in dummy words? Hooray! Let's take a look, ladies and germs. So the super simple summary is that SwitchX is built in layers. At the bottom is the exchange engine. Above that are the tools for users. Above that are the plugins that add smart features like adaptive fees and MEV protection. And then above that is the farming and liquidity management system. And then at the top is governance, where locked users vote and collect rewards. So it's a modular machine. The bottom handles trading, the middle handles rewards and automation, and the top handles voting and protocol control. So there you guys go. I like that. That's a nice and easy TLDR. Dummy version for this. Bam. And we're going to do the same thing, guys. We are going to highlight number 4. All of number 4. My goodness. And then we are going to kickity copy and piggity paste. Bam. So while ChatGPT is working on that, we'll go ahead and read number 4. So let's see. Number 4, concentrated liquidity engine. So we've got the V4 pool mechanics. At the core of SwitchX is the V4 pool contract, a concentrated liquidity automatic market maker where liquidity providers allocate capital to specific price ranges, which are known as ticks. This is derived from the Uniswap V3 concentrated liquidity design with significant modifications. Each pool tracks a global price and a current tick, per tick liquidity boundaries, fee accumulators for both tokens, and a plug-in attachment point for lifecycle hooks. The tick-based system allows liquidity to be concentrated where it matters most, improving capital efficiency by orders of magnitude compared to constant product AMMs. The three-tier fee architecture. So the total swap fee equals the base fee plus the override fee plus the plugin fee. So here's some data on a table. You guys can look at that. You got your 3 tiers: basic, override, and plugin. And then you have what they do, and then you have who sets them. So the override fee revenue remains the default path for ordinary liquidity providing voter aligned economics. It enters the pool's standard fee accounting, then splits through LP fee growth and the configured community free path. Plugin fee revenue is intentionally separate. The pool transfers it to the plugin, and the authorized plugin managers withdraw it through that little command thing. SwitchX uses plugin fees only for ring-fenced MEV pressure revenue systems. Same block backrun fee at launch, and fee auction only if separately enabled after telemetry and fork proof. Ordinary adaptive fees and toxicity fee v2 stay on the override fee path. The dynamic fee plugin calculates the override fee based on recent price volatility, ensuring that the fees adapt to market conditions in real time. During calm markets, the fees decrease to attract volume. During volatile periods, fees increase to compensate liquidity providers for impermanent loss. That's pretty cool. I do quite like this part. That is a fascinating a fascinating notion. So let's see what we got next. I have to also do some show stuff here, guys. So I am keeping track of the new chats as they come in. So don't you guys worry. I will get to you. So next, we've got the community fee, which is 2-tier. So SwitchX employs a 2-tier community fee. Excuse me. It adapts based on whether a pool has voting rewards enabled. So non-voting pools factory default is 5%. Newly created pools that do not yet have a gauge start that do not have a gauge start with a low 5%. This keeps 95% of swap fees flowing directly to the liquidity providers, maximizing yield for pools that are not yet part of the V3 system. Under the current vault wiring, that 5% community cut accrues in the pool's vault until a receiver withdrawal path is configured or the pool is later promoted to a voting gauge. So next we have the voting enabled pools. So the voter default is 75%. When a gauge is created for a pool via that command, the voter contract automatically upgrades the pool's community fee to 750, which is 75%. Of that community fee flow, the launch default voter side V4 fee sends 7% to Treasury and 93% to the VNFT voter rewards for the pool gauge. The remaining 25% of the original swap fees accrue directly to liquidity providers, including ALM vault depositors. This 2-tier approach avoids extracting excess fees from pools that have no active voter reward distribution, fees that would otherwise sit idle in community vaults serving no economic purpose. Pools earn the higher fee tier only when they are actively generating voter rewards, ensuring that the V3 flywheel is funded without penalizing nascent or community pools. So some of the industry benchmarks, Velodrome and Aerodrome, they route 100% to the voters. SwitchX's 75% on voting pools ensures ALM vault depositors retain a direct fee incentive even after emissions end. So the 5% floor on non-voting pools minimizes deadweight fee drag on permissionless pools while still preserving an upgraded path into VE routing. This creates the core V3 feedback loop where voters direct emissions to pools, pools generate fees, fees flow to voters, and voters are incentivized to direct emissions to the highest yielding pools. The callback security pattern, section 4. All value transfers in V4 pool use a callback-based validation pattern to prevent flash loan attacks and ensure automatic execution. The same pattern applies to mint the callback, which is adding liquidity, and flash loans. This ensures that tokens are always received before any state changes are finalized, preventing reentrancy and manipulation attacks. So let's see what this says in plain English. So the wow, this is a big long one. Holy moly. So the super simple summary. SwitchX trading engine lets liquidity providers put their money exactly where trading is happening instead of spreading it everywhere. It uses smart fees that can adjust when markets go calm or crazy. The new pools keep most of their fees so they can grow, and official voting pools send more fees to voters to power the V3 reward system. And the pool uses security checks to make sure that tokens are actually paid before the trades finish. So, in one sentence, the engine is built to make liquidity more efficient, the fees smarter, the rewards better aligned, and the trades harder to exploit. So there you guys go. That's the TLDR. I do like that I have a TLDR as well as the crazy complicated one. So quick little shout out to Brendan here. Great points, and he also appreciates that white papers that are very in depth. It seems that less and less protocols are doing this. Yeah, I agree, bro. There are certainly less. I agree with the protocols being less and less that are doing this. I don't necessarily like the complicated white papers. I like the nice, easy ones. But the beautiful thing about AI right now is that we can turn the complicated ideas into simple information for the folks at home that are simple, like me. So there we go. We've also been joined tonight by Mr. Ayala. I think that's how you pronounce it, Ayala. Ayala 7193. Farming and ALM has been a game changer thus far. Best dexes I've seen out there. Whew. And more features to come. We've also got Mr. Pulse Chain Trainer 780, who says that ALM Manager is the shit for the first time ever. Set it and forget it. Liquidity providing. That would certainly be nice. Set it and forget it. Not have to think. Because thinking costs time and attention and making decisions that could possibly go wrong. So it sounds like this is just a system that is built to do things fantastically well. So we like it, we like it, we like it. All right, guys, you know the drill. We're going to copy all of 5, the adaptive fee system, and then we're going to put that into the chat GPT. So that way we can figure out what is the TLDR, what is the dummy interpretation. My God, 5 is a big one. Holy smokesy-olies. Wow, whoa, wee, whoa. Copy and bring it on over. Give me the dummy version of this with the super simple summary first. There we go. Bam. Okay. So that is loading up. Time to do some reading, guys. My goodness. We are almost a quarter of the way through this. Okay. So the adaptive fee system. It calculates swap fees using a sigmoid-like adaptive fee curve parameterized by this stuff. So if you guys don't know what this stuff is, neither do I. The fee is computed as a function of the average volatility observed for the TWAP oracle, time-weighted average something protocol oracle. Don't know. When alpha 1 and alpha 2 are both 0, the plugin returns a flat base fee, allowing pools to opt out of dynamic pricing. Each pool has its adaptive fee curve configured independently based on competitive dynamics and asset characteristics. So here's some examples. You've got, USDC and Pulse. You've got Switch and USDC, Switch and Pulse, and USDC and DAI. So there you go. USDC Pulse base fee is set to capture more value per swap than the default while remaining competitive with PulseX. At low volatility, the adaptive fee sits near the 0.2% base, a meaningful undercut. During volatile periods, fees rise toward 1% to compensate the liquidity providers for impermanent loss. The Switch token pairs use higher base fees because the SwitchX holds a monopoly on Switch liquidity. Every Switch trade must route through SwitchX, so there is no competitive pressure to minimize fees. The 0.3% base captures more value for voters on every Switch trade, while the 1% max provides IL impermanent loss protection during volatile markets. The USDC and DAI stablecoin pair uses the same adaptive curve as USDC with wrapped Pulse. Blah blah blah. Under normal conditions, stablecoins emit minimal volatility, so the fee stays near 0.2. During DPEG events, like it did back in March of 2023, the fee rises towards 1% to compensate liquidity providers for impermanent loss. This full range protection is appropriate because USDC in DAI is positioned as a vampire pool with 1% deposit and 1% withdrawal vault fees and 90% auto lock, whereas competitiveness is secondary to liquidity providing protection and voter revenue capture. So day one reserved activations inherit the same live market fee logic. The activated set is wrapped pulse. I'm not going to read all that. Is a bunch of tokens with a bunch of other tokens. Each ships with public dual vault ALM, dedicated rebalance managers, deterministic bootstrap activation, and a 0.2% adaptive base fee. Those vaults now launch fail closed on deposits. Bootstrap deposits create positions, but public deposits caps remain at 0 until manual unlock verifies plugin wiring. Manager liveness, Oracle maturity, and current fast slow local prices within a bounded PulseX parity tolerance. When unlocked, the vaults reopen with finite side-specific caps rather than unlimited intake. Those tokens remain price only markets for phase 2 rather than day 1 ALM activations. Switch DAI remains at 0.3% as a monopoly switch pair, and all other reserve pools remain parked on the factory default 0.1% floor until they are intentionally activated with seeded liquidity and pair-specific routing assumptions. The launch day high volume PulseX parity subset is a whole bunch of tokens paired with a whole bunch of other tokens. All of these pools run on PulseX backrun executor, allow run backrun executor allow listing, arbitrage keeper coverage, and toxicity fee v2. USDC and Pulse uses 2 direct PulseX reference sources with the deepest source first. USDC DAI uses the stable quote source plus 1 direct source, and the reserved parity pools use the deepest live direct PulseX source for their pair token. If multiple live references diverge beyond that thing, then Toxicity v2 keeps pricing active through a canonical source or median fallback rather than disabling the surcharge. Reserve pools stay deepest only to avoid noisy secondary references on lower liquidity launch markets. Then we got the MEV protection, so the bot-proof backrun fee. So sandwich attack is the most common form of MEV extraction on decentralized exchanges. An attacker front runs a user's swap to move the price against them, and then back runs immediately after to capture the difference as profit. The victim receives the worst execution, effectively paying a hidden tax to the attacker. On many dexes, this occurs silently and at scale. The backrun fee plugin eliminates this attack vector by making the backrun leg, the profitable reversal, prohibitively expensive. Trigger condition. A swap occurs in the same block as a previous swap, and the new swap's direction would profit from the prior's price movement. So that's the trigger, is if the swap is occurring in the same block, doopity-doop, and the swap's direction profits. So then there's that's the trigger. And then there's a magic formula, dappity-dappity-da. You guys can read that if you want. I don't know what that means. And the default additive fee is 50,000 hundredths of a bit, so 5%. And then the total same block fee is 10%. So the same block surcharge is emitted as a plugin fee after adaptive toxicity public pricing is known, so the additive leg cannot exceed the configured total fee cap. This fee is ring-fenced plugin revenue, not ordinary LP and community fee growth. It must be collected and routed under an explicit operator governance policy. Why regular users are unaffected. The surcharge only triggers on same block direction reversals, a pattern that characterizes sandwich backruns, not ordinary trading. Users swapping in different blocks or in the same direction as the prior price movement always pay the standard fee. In practice, this means that normal traders never see the surcharge, while sandwich bots face fees that exceed their expected profit, making the attack unprofitable. So, interesting. So it stops it before it ever even gets there. The toxicity fee v2. It protects against sandwich attacks that originate within SwitchX, but the significant class of MEV occurs across DEXs. When external values move first, informed corrective flow trades against stale SwitchX quotes. This is loss versus rebalancing. But launch no longer uses the old single pair raw deviation surcharge as the primary public fee model on managed core pools. Instead, day one high volume parity pools use toxicity fee v2. Build a bounded external reference from configured sources. Fail open if no source is usable, but every configured source is stale. When live sources disagree too widely, use a conservative, canonical, or median fallback. Compare SwitchX price to that reference before the swap. Charge extra only when the incoming swap moves SwitchX toward the external reference, and then scale the surcharge by consumed gap, not just starting deviation. That makes public lane directional and size aware instead of simply taxing any large raw discrepancy. If the swap would cross the active range boundary, the surcharge clips to the configured peak. If no configured reference can be read safely, the toxicity leg fails open and the user pays only the existing adaptive and same block background fee stack. Direct PulseX references treat that code as fresh rather than stale. Only future timestamps or sources older than the pool's tiered thing fail open. When multiple live references are available but disagree beyond the spread guard, the engine uses the configured canonical source for 2 source pools or the median for 3 source pools, so pricing remains active without averaging a known wide reference set. And here's a table of some stuff. This still feeds the V3 flywheel. Better corrective flow recapture means more swap fee value available to the community vault voter path. The difference is that vault pricing on the managed core pools is now targeted at stale quote consumption rather than raw discrepancy alone. Signed fee lane, explicit launch activation. SwitchX also ships a native EIP 712 signed quote lane inside the same plugin. Trusted routers can attach a signed per swap fee quote that blinds to the pool, router, recipient, callback payer, direction, amount, price, limit, fee, nonce, and deadline. This is not a blanket front end discount, it's a precision tool for first party routed flow. The front end's repo Vercel node function only quotes eligible single hop swaps, enforces managed pool and per token raw amount caps, uses short deadlines, and can be paired with strict front end mode so protected swaps wait for a valid signed quote instead of accidentally using the unsigned public lane. The front end requires an explicit signed fee enabled flag in addition to the quoted URL, so merely deploying the disabled Vercel endpoint does not break normal swaps. The intended production Vercel posture is to enable this lane for eligible first-party swaps once the user signed SLA, key rotation runbook, front-end configuration, WAF bot ID controls, on-chain allow lists, and fork proof are ready. Until that lane is enabled, unsigned toxicity pricing applies to corrective public flow by swap shape, not by user identity. The direction detection. The plugin only surcharges swaps that correct the price discrepancy. If SwitchX is higher than the reference set, only these swaps pushing price down are surcharged. If SwitchX price is lower than the reference set, only the opposite swaps pushing price up are surcharged. Swaps in the opposite non-corrective direction always pay the normal fee. Interaction with other fee components. Internal MEV sender trust always wins first. These guys still get Sentinel code thing independent of fee discounts or signed quotes. A valid signed quote replaces the public toxicity calculation for that swap and also bypasses some code. An unsigned public flow uses some code and then runs the legacy fee discount hook for backwards compatibility. Managed launch pools simply keep more code unset so that the final step is inert in the launch posture. For the fee auction, when separately enabled after telemetry and fork proof can add code, only when unsigned public flow already has the same block backrun or toxicity v2 pressure. Internal MEV and signed quotes always bypass it. My goodness. Why this matters for liquidity providers. Without LV protection, liquidity providers subsidize every arbitrage trade. Each time an external bot corrects a stale SwitchX price, the LP, the liquidity provider, effectively sells at the old worst price. Toxicity V2 ensures that a portion of this correction value is captured as fee revenue for the pool, making liquidity positions more profitable and reducing the hidden cost of providing liquidity. Fee auction layer, deployed disabled by default. SwitchX also includes a disabled by default fee auction layer for future priority fee gas war arbitrage defense. This math lives in some code as a stateless helper so that the managed plugin avoids a second engine contract and construction deployer threading. When enabled, fee auction can add a plugin fee based on the transaction priority fee. It is deliberately pressure gated. High priority fee alone is not enough. The swap must also have an upstream MEV pressure signal from the same block background fee or toxicity V2. This avoids taxing urgent but non-corrective users during congestion while preserving an additional tax layer for observed next block gas war arbitrage. The launch posture. Some code. Fee auction disabled on every launch pool. Internal MEV returns. Signed quote swaps over the quoted code bits. Activation is a single admin setter per plugin applied through the same managed pool configuration script used for Toxicity V2. Activation requires priority fee telemetry or documented emergency arbitrage loss incident, calibrated cap parameters, an explicit plugin free disposition policy, fresh fork proof, and rollback proof. Fee auction uses plugin fee deliberately so priority fee gas war recapture can be accounted for once separately from LP compensation fees. Before activation, operators must decide and publish where collected plugin fees go, such as Treasury, Keeper Subsidy, Protocol Buyback Funding, or another governance approved recipient. Until that policy and collection proof exist, the layer stays disabled. Next, we've got the fee discount plugin. The fee discount plugin remains available for legacy or unmanaged integrations, but it is not part of the managed fee launch policy. Managed launch pools keep some code unset. Internal MEV fee exemption comes from surrender trust or from sender trust, and any future first-party precision pricing should use the signed quote lane in section 5.3 rather than blanket address-based discounts. The default plugin and explicit managed features. SwitchX launches with the default code attached to new public pools, but without the old code pause disable surface. This is the important trust boundary. Every new pool keeps adaptive fees and Oracle-driven pricing logic by default, while the protocol admin kill switch is removed from the active launch stack. At birth, the launch default active hook is set intentionally narrow. This means new public pools inherit volatility oracle initialization, dynamic fee upgrades, same block background fee protection, etc., etc. More invasive managed features remain explicit per pool actions. ALM rebalancing, toxicity V2 source wiring on the high volume party pools, farming incentive, MEV executor enablement, gauges, and any later plugin replacement or repair still require deliberate governance or operator setup after pool creation. If an existing pool ever needs to be repaired or retrofitted into the official plugin stack, the explicit path remains. Gauge onboarding keeps the same explicit ops boundary. Launch pools are expected to already inherit the official plugin at creation, and governance still verifies or repairs that state before enabling gauges, farming, MEV parity, or ALM alignment. Next, we have the launch scope managed features. The managed launch surface described in this paper is intentionally limited to the features that are part of the verified day one posture, adaptive fees, MEV protection, toxicity fee V2 on the high volume parity pools, disabled by default fee auction infrastructure, Oracle tracking, farming integration, ALM rebalancing, and MEV background execution. Fee discounts remain available in code for legacy unmanaged cases, but managed launch pools keep some code unset. Managed limit order hooks are not part of the launch composition. Future managed limit order support requires a new plugin composition decision, uh, bytecode size proof, and review. Additional hook-driven integrations remain outside the default launch posture until they have their own explicit operational runbooks, gas budgets, and production verification coverage. Holy moly! Where's the Tylenol? What is that? Oh man, what is that movie? With Chevy Chase. I think it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where he's like, and I ought to look him straight in the eye, and I'll tell him what a cheap lousy. I feel like I read that entire thing, and I've got no idea what any of it just said. So I am super duper. Oh wow, I am super duper interested in seeing what the ChatGPT Easy thing has to say. By the way, um, just as an FYI, the protocol is launched. Brendan says about a week ago. The token launch was flawless without anyone front running it. That's pretty fucking cool. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Also, we've got Mr. Hexkin Lost in Asia who says, "Hello, chat degens. Hello, Will. Hello to you too, good sir. And I salute you, Mr. Hexkin Lost in Asia. I hope you're having a great and fantastic time over there. Fuck yeah." And Brendan salutes you as well. Very nice. We get to see Brendan for a short period of time. All right, guys, let's see what the ChatGPT has to say about section number 5. So basically, the entire thing that I just read for you. Wait, concentrated liquidity engine. I could have swore I just put in number 5. Oh, I never pasted it. Ha! Edit message. Doot and paste. Is this number 5? Verification coverage. Okay. Sweet. Man. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Ladies and germs, I asked it to do the same thing twice. So now I have to find it and click send. And now we get to wait for the AI. I was like, wait a minute, why is it talking about chapter 4? I asked it to talk about chapter 5. Okay, so the super simple summary for chapter 5 is that SwitchX has a smart fee system. Instead of charging the same fee all the time, it changes fees based on what's happening in the market. When the market's calm, fees stay low, so normal traders are not scared away. When the market gets wild, the fees rise, so liquidity providers are protected. SwitchX also tries to stop bots from stealing value through sandwich attacks and arbitrage. If a bot is doing bot-style behavior, the protocol can charge it extra and send that value back into the system. So basically, it wants normal users to pay normal fees, and it wants bots and risky market conditions to pay more. Isn't that interesting? How funny. Imagine if you could charge the customers that are like dangerous to your shop more money because they're more dangerous or something like that. That's hilarious. How fucking funny. Okay. So, I want the dummy version of the next thing with the super simple summary first. For chapter 6, we've got the switch token economics. Oh boy. Everyone loves some tokenomics. Let's see what we got here. So we got the copy, Control C, and we got the Control V. Oh, wow, we will. All right. It was so much text, it had to load it into ChatGPT as a PDF. Okay. So, the super simple summary. I'm going to give you guys a simple summary first. So, for chapter 6, the TLDR is that Switch has a hard max supply of 1 billion tokens. The protocol cannot print the tokens forever. Most of the V3 systems keep creating new tokens endlessly, which slowly waters down everyone who already owns a token. But SwitchX does the opposite. Prints rewards for 2.5 years and then stops forever. So the big idea is that early on Switch is used to bootstrap the system, and then later the system has to survive on real trading fees, buybacks, voting power, and long-term user commitment. So it's designed to be a limited supply token where inflation ends, committed users gain power, and protocol revenue can create long-term buy pressure. Hooray! So there's your hard cap. Boom. And here's your pre-mint. And then here's your emission budget. So pre-mint, there's currently 30 million Switch in circulation. out of 1 billion total. So, excuse me, we've got the other 97% to go over the next 2.5 years. Switch token has a hard cap enforced at the smart contract level. No more than 1 billion tokens can ever exist. This stands in contrast to the standard V3 implementations where emissions continue indefinitely. The token also enforces a finite cumulative emission budget, so burn supply does not recreate mintable headroom, even though the total supply decreases over time. Switch supports EIP 2612 permit gasless approvals via off-chain signatures, enabling gasless allowance setting for voting escrow locks and other integrations. The pre-mint allocation is 30 million, allocated as follows to these guys in that table, but we're not going to read it all. The 2 million Switch bribe budget is a pre-mint reserve, not additional minting, and it is intended as a shared pool for early protocol-funded launch bribes, signaling bootstrap incentives, and later external partner bribe matching as the ecosystem develops. Governance may keep part of this reserve ring-fenced to preserve future matching capacity. SwitchX also intentionally avoids a fixed predefined liquid team allocation tranche at launch. Instead of reserving a large immediately transferable team bucket as a hard percentage of pre-mint, the design uses a smaller operational buffer, so 1 million Switch plus future treasury emissions, as a flexible source for team locks, contributors, integrations, and contingencies as governance priorities evolve. This reduces guaranteed liquid overhang at launch while preserving operational flexibility. The 15 million burn lock creates an initial governance position with 30 million V power via the 2x burn multiplier, giving the protocol treasury effectively 100% voting control at launch before external locks exist, and maintaining majority governance through the first month even without treasury emission recycling. This larger initial lock provides the operational flexibility to allocate treasury emissions toward growth, partnership, and liquidity rather than requiring continuous governance reinforcement. So, next we have the emission schedule. But give me a moment whilst I bring my slippers over because my feet are getting a little bit cold, guys. It's starting to get chilly up here. Woohoo. All right. So, the emissions follow a 3-phase halving schedule over 2.5 years. So in year 1, it's going to put out that many, about 1.6 million daily. And then in year 2, it's going to be half of that. And then year 3, it's going to be half of that. So, bazinga. Or not year 2 and then year 2.5. So there you guys go. After 2.5 years, emissions stop permanently. The launch minter is configured for a terminal 2.5-year schedule with no tail emissions. And Switch's final cumulative emission budget ensures that burned tokens do not recreate emission capacity. Here's some math. We're not going to look at the math because that's not important. Or it is important, but I'm not going to read it. This produces a base rate of 18.9 Switch per second. So there you go. Treasury allocation. 10% of all emissions are dedicated to the protocol treasury. This allocation serves as a flexible operational reserve that the protocol can deploy across multiple priorities as conditions demand. Governance reinforcement, so burn locking into VNFTs to maintain voting power during the critical launch window. Ecosystem growth, so strategic partnerships, grants, and integrations. Liquidity bootstrapping, targeted incentives for priority pools or pairs. Operational stability, or operational sustainability, protocol development, and maintenance costs. The exact allocation mix is determined by protocol governance and can shift over time as priorities evolve. During early launch, a larger share may be directed toward governance power to prevent hostile takeover. As the protocol matures and decentralizes, the balance may shift towards growth on operational needs. The treasury rate itself can be scaled down over time, capped at 10% max on-chain. The remaining 90% flows to the voter contract for distribution to gauges based on VNFT votes. Initial liquidity share outputs, seeded ALM vault shares, VLOCs, bootstrap mints, can be routed to configurable seed funder recipient addresses. Distinct from ongoing fee treasury, the two funder launches default to some code when no explicit split is provided. For 3 or more funders, operators must confer either some code value or some other code value. So the split is deterministic and independently recomputable. The current for funder posture is these numbers, which derives to some other numbers. Manual LP positions now mint directly to the configured recipient wallets for the funded value tranche. Quote funded manual LP positions follow the configured funder split, while manual switch LP positions reserve a treasury residual equal to the protocol matched switch tranche instead of giving seed funders the full matched position. The initial VNFT lock remains separate and follows some code. Why fixed supply matters. In perpetual mission V3 systems, token holders face a coordination problem. They must continually lock and vote just to avoid dilution. New emissions can create selling pressure that existing holders must absorb. This system only works for as long as demand for emissions exceeds their supply, a condition that eventually fails. Switch eliminates this dynamic after 2.5 years. No new tokens are minted, and so there's no dilution. The only sources of sell pressure are unlocking VNFTs and farming rewards. Burn locks permanently remove tokens from circulation. Fee buybacks create consistent buy pressure, and early exit penalties burn a portion of existing tokens. The result is a token with progressively decreasing circulation supply and sustained demand from fee buybacks, fundamentally different economic trajectory than perpetual emission alternatives. So there you guys go. That's the tokenomics. Very cool. I'm going to do a quick little scroll out here. So that way we can... Oh, man. I thought it had the... I thought that there was a little outline. Ah, there's the outline. Bazinga. Bam. So we are right here, ladies and germs. We are 7 out of... Well, we're probably not going to do the emission math. We'll just say 7 out of 13. So a little bit over halfway. Huzzah. What a great success. So this is where we need to be right now. So next, I'm going to take this bad mamba jamba and do some copy pasting. So we've got all that Control C. And now we will go to ChatGPT and we will copy and paste and a bazinga. Boom. Chapter 7. We're going to get the early or the ChatGPT overview. So the vote escrow. So basically governance looks like this. Here's the TLDR before we get into the long and short of it. So you lock the switch, you get voting power. The longer you lock, the more voting power you get. The SwitchX also has a special option. You can burn switch forever. So you can either lock it or you can burn it, right? If you lock it, you get temporary voting power. If you burn it, you get super voting power forever. So every time you destroy your tokens, you get 2 times the voting power that never decays. So the system is designed to reward people who seriously commit while punishing people who lock for rewards and try to leave early. The key point is like the leaving early. You get punished if you leave early. So there you go. SwitchX Governance gives the most power to people who either lock long-term or permanently burn the tokens to prove they are ride or die for the protocol. So that's the TLDR of what we're about to get into. So let's take a look at the down and dirty details, baby. And let me see. Oh, by the way, and this is from Brendan, if you haven't used Switch.win, I recommend it. Limit orders are a game changer. Absolutely right. That is kick ass. Kick ass. We do like limit orders. I have not used those anywhere near enough, but now that I know that they exist in a place, that might be one of the cool new options. So very cool. Standard VNFT locks. Users lock switch tokens for a chosen duration up to 2 years maximum, or up to 2 years max time to receive a VNFT. voting NFT, an ERC 721 token representing their voting power. The voting power decays linearly over time. The power equals locked amount times time remaining divided by max time. Lock duration is rounded down to the nearest week. The maximum lock is 2 years or 730 days for maximum voting power. Users can increase amount or extend duration, but cannot decrease either. Expired locks can be withdrawn to recover the underlying switch tokens. Burning locks is permanent commitment. The burn locks are SwitchX's most distinctive governance feature. Instead of locking tokens for a finite period, holders can irreversibly burn their switch tokens in exchange for permanent, non-decaying voting power. Unlike protocols such as Black Hole, where burn refers to permanently locked but not destroyed tokens, SwitchX burn locks are true burns. The underlying switch is permanently destroyed, reducing total supply. This distinction is unique among V3 implementations. So thirsty. Needed that alcohol. So the mechanisms. That's how it happens, and these are the parameters. So burning 100 switch tokens grants 200 units of permanent voting power, or equivalent to holding a maximum duration lock of 200 switch that never decays. So there you go. Voting power priorities or properties of burn locks. The voting power never decays. It remains constant regardless of time. Tokens are permanently removed from circulation so they cannot be recovered. Burn locks cannot be split. This prevents gaming via fragment and reconstruct. Burn locks cannot early exit because the tokens no longer exist. And burn locks cannot be merged with other burn locks, combining permanent power. Oh, they can be merged with other burn locks. Decaying locks can be merged into burn locks. The decaying tokens are burned and converted to burn power. Burn locks cannot be merged into decaying locks. This prevents silent loss of burn power. Why burn locks matter. Burn locks create genuine irreversible alignment. In a standard V3, a max locked whale can simply wait for expiry and dump. Burn lock holders have no such exit. Their incentive is permanently tied to the protocol's success. The 2x multiplier compensates for this irreversibly while creating supply contraction that benefits all remaining holders. The early exit. SwitchX introduces an early exit mechanism that allows VNFT holders to unlock before expiry in exchange for a penalty that scales with time remaining. The penalty curve is inversely quadratic, which keeps penalties high early in the lock and allows them to decrease as the lock approaches expiry. The penalty ranges from 10% to 100%. The penalty amount is split, 50% burned, and 50% distributed to voters. Anti-gaming protections. The code is propagated on merge. The destination lock inherits the most recent or the highest start time from either source, preventing users from merging a new lock into an old one to reduce penalties. Lock start time is propagated on split. The split tokens inherit the parent start time, preventing users from splitting and selectively exiting with reduced penalties. These rules ensure that the penalty curve always reflects the actual commitment timeline. The governance power timeline starts from 15 million governance burn lock. Table below illustrates governance power under a maximum recycling scenario where all treasury emissions are burn locked at a 10% treasury rate. In practice, only a portion of treasury emissions may be directed to burn locks, with the remainder allocated to growth, operations, or liquidity. Range assumes external max duration lock participation between 50 and 30% of voter side emissions. Actual governance power will be lower if treasury emissions are partially allocated to non-lock purposes. Real outcomes vary with lock behavior and early exits. The larger 15 million burn lock versus the previous 8 million establishes a strong governance floor that maintains majority control through the first month, even without any treasury emission recycling. This provides operational flexibility to allocate treasury emissions toward growth, partnership, and liquidity rather than requiring continuous governance reinforcement. If treasury vote share falls faster than expected, reserve-backed contingency burn lock tranches can reinforce control without changing emission mechanics. So that's the tokenomics of it, boys and girls. Very cool. So section 8, we've got we got 7 subsections in section 8. So we'll go ahead and do a little copy paste. And then this time we're going to read the TLDR after we read the entire little thingamajig, the entire chapter 8. So here we go. Mr. ChatGPT, tell me about the dummy version of this part. Bazinga. Bazinga. All right. While ChatGPT is thinking, I'll go ahead and start reading. Before I start reading, I saw a chat appear. So, oh yes, Brendan has a thought. Tokenomics do sound great. He does have some questions for Wednesday, though. Absolutely, yeah. There's some fascinating tokenomics, and this sounds very interesting. I do like the mechanics that Brandon is employing in here. It certainly sounds like he's taken the lessons from other protocols and learned quite a bit of good stuff from them. So I am excited and in anticipation to see what's coming next down the pipeline. It'll be a good Wednesday. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about the gauge voting and fee distribution. So the weekly epoch system. So SwitchX operates on a weekly epoch cycle. The voting NFT holders vote on which pools should receive emissions. The minter distributes tokens to voter based on the emission schedule. The voter allocates tokens to gauge proportional to votes received, and the gauges stream rewards to liquidity providers of their respective pools, while the trading fees from each pool flow back to the voters who supported that gauge. This creates the V3 alignment. Voters are incentivized to direct emissions to the most productive pools with the highest fees, which in turn generates the highest returns for those voters. To keep vote casting, recasting, and vote clearing executable under production gas limits as the gauge set grows, the voter enforces a hard per ballot fan out cap of 32 pools per NFT per Enoch. This is an operational safety bound non-emissions policy target. It exists to prevent oversized ballots from becoming uncallable as each voted pool adds reward accounting and storage work. Community fee collection. When a swap occurs in a voting enabled pool, the community fee percentage, 70% of the swap, is collected by these guys from the community fee balance. 7% is diverted to the treasury via the voter and side V4 fee, and the remaining 93% continues into voter rewards, like we had said earlier. The voter contract claims these fees through the code thing. Fees are then routed through code for processing. Processed fees are directed into the pool's code contract. For non-voting pools, only 5% of swap fees enter the community vault. These accrue at the vault level and are not an immediate treasury flow under the current launch wiring. Once a gauge is created, the voter upgrades the pool's community fee to 75% and it begins distributing rewards. The automated fee buybacks. In every existing V3 implementation, Solidly, Velodrome, Aerodrome, Thena, and others, collected trading fees are passed through directly to voters as raw fee tokens. Voters receive whatever tokens the pool happen to generate. This creates no demand-side pressure on the governance token and means protocol revenue flows entirely out of the native token economy. SwitchX fundamentally changes this. The protocol fee manager automatically converts a configurable portion of all collected fees, trading fees, into Switch tokens on the open market before distributing them to voters. At launch, 50% of every fee dollar is swapped into Switch. The remaining 50% passes through as the original fee token for diversification. Why this matters. Constant buy pressure. Every swap on the pool generates Switch demand, not just during emissions, but permanently, as long as the protocol has trading volume. This is structural demand that scales with protocol success. Revenue to governance alignment. Voters earn Switch directly from the protocol activity, reinforcing their governance stake rather than accumulating unrelated tokens. Supply compression. When combined with burn locks, permanent supply destruction, auto lock, 50 to 90% of farming awards locked, and early exit burns, the buyback creates sustained demand against a continuously declining circulation supply. Post-emission sustainability. After the 2.5-year emission schedule ends, fee buybacks continue indefinitely, replacing emission-driven incentives with revenue-driven demand. No other V3 protocol has this mechanism. The raw fee tokens arrive at the protocol fee manager via the voter contract. The buyer percentage code determines how much to swap. The manager executes the swap through a SwitchX router using per token swap paths. Direct paths for token with liquid switch pools, multi-hop paths for token without direct switch pools, and launch deployment preconfigures the core routing tokens plus the activated day one reserve token set. So later reserve gauge onboarding inherent buyback routing with an additional fee layer migration. The resulting switch tokens are sent to voters alongside any pass-through fee tokens. The remaining 50% passes through as the original fee token. The Oracle slippage protection is enabled by default. Because distribute all is permissionless and fee buyback swaps accumulate weekly per pool, they are a natural target for sandwich MEV attacks. To prevent this, the manager checks TWAP-based Oracle slippage guards before every buyback swap. If either check fails or if slippage protection has not been configured, the entire fee amount passes through without a swap. The contract is a fail closed by default. Unconfigured slippage protection results in pass-through. In pass-through, never protected swaps. This ensures voters always receive their rewards even when market conditions make buyback inadvisable. Protection is enabled by default at deployment and covers the full swap path, including multi-hop routes. Graceful fallback. If the buyback swap reverts for any reason, the manager catches the error and falls back through to full pass-through mode. Fees are never lost or stranded in the manager contract. Any token without a configured swap path is also passed through safely. Drip voting reward. Standard V3 implementations distribute 10% of fees immediately in the period they accrue. This creates volatile, unpredictable reward streams. A large trade generates a spike, followed by periods of minimal returns. SwitchX replaces this with the Drip Voting Guard contract, which pools fees and releases them gradually. Fees arrive via code from the voter during more code. The drip rate determines what fraction of the pool is released each period. When a voted period checkpoint occurs, the contract can release a number for process pool, creating the aggregate to the current voted period and leaving the remainder in the pool. Voters claim rewards to their vote weight in each period. The properties. A single large fee event is spread over multiple periods, reducing reward volatility. The pool decreases geometrically, 80% retained each period, then 20% on launch default, creating a long tail of rewards. The catch-up is if drip checkpoints are missed, or no one interacts for several periods, up to 52 periods can be processed in a single call. No vote protection. If no voting NFTs vote for a gauge in a period, nothing becomes claimable for that empty period. Fees sitting in the V4 community vault are not forwarded until a later vote call, and already pooled balance does not release until a later vote checkpoint path runs. The bribe compatibility. Direct bribes bypass the drip mechanism and target the next period directly, preserving the standard V3 bribe semantics. If a direct bribe period ultimately opens with 0 votes, anyone can permissionlessly roll those stranded incentives into the then current next period after the boundary via some code. The Treasury Operator Pool top-ups. A role-gated top-up path can add tokens directly to some code for future drip release, enabling Treasury fee recycling and delegated launch ops execution without changing contract ownership. The strategic implementation is when this is intentionally different from a traditional immediate payout. Lower drip rates reward sustained voting on productive gauges because large fee backlogs are released over many active epochs rather than all at once. SwitchX launches at a 20% weekly drip, so rewards are still smoothed, but a single fee batch is roughly 60% distributed after approximately 4 drip epochs, approximately 80% after 8, and approximately 90% after approximately 11. Governance flexibility. The governance can raise the drip rate later if faster payout is desired, but the live contract now fails if closed if any pooled reward token still has pending catch-up. Operators must first settle backlog in a voted period. typically by calling trigger drip token until some code returns to 0. If a pool accumulates 10,000 DAI in fees within 20% of the within the 20% launch drip date, then that happens. After 10 periods, 89% of the original fees have been distributed, with the remainder continuing to drip over subsequent periods. The planned governance upgrade, trustless protocol reward pool rehypothecation. SwitchX intends to propose a future governance approved upgrade path to make unreleased pool balances productive instead of idle. The intent is to rehypothecate pooled reward inventory into trustless yield strategies so the same underlying fee inventory can earn incremental return while it's waiting to drip out to voters. This is a roadmap item, not current launch behavior. At launch, pooled rewards simply return inside until later periods release them. The planned upgrade is intended to preserve the core voter promise while improving capital efficiency. Principle remains voter-owned economic inventory. Pooled rewards are still economically reserved for future voter distribution. Yield accrues back to voters. Any incremental earnings generated from the pooled inventory are intended to increase the total value available to voting reward recipients. Trustless deployed requirement. The strategy layer is intended to be rules-based and contract enforced rather than dependent on off-chain custody or discretionary treasury management. Conservative integration standard. Only strategies that preserve liquidity, withdrawal predictability, and reward accounting correctness should be considered acceptable. No such upgrade should be activated until governance has reviewed and approved the design. And for the audit gate, no such upgrade should be activated without standalone specification, formal review of accounting intervariance, and fresh external audit coverage. In practical terms, this means that SwitchX can launch with a smooth drip model today, and then later upgrade that idle pooled inventory into additional yield-bearing layer for voters without abandoning the core V3 reward flow. The launch recommendation of a 20% weekly drip is still based on short and medium-term growth, voter UX, and reduced dependency on treasury recycling during Bootstrap. The rehypothecation layer is intended as a layer enhancement, not as a prerequisite for launch. Hang on a second, guys. My dog is making unusual noises, but I think she's okay. Mama dog. Oh. She's sitting here on the couch dreaming and whining and stuff. Oh, what a silly goose. What a silly goose girl. All right, ladies and germs, I'm coming back. Don't you worry. I'm back, baby, and better than ever. Cheers to you, Brendan, and cheers to all the folks at home. My goodness, I need to take a little sipperty sip of this stuff. So let's see. I had left off at the end of that biggest paragraph on the bottom third, so we will continue from there. We're looking at 8.5, the staged launch emission direction. So SwitchX launches with all 4 core gauges wired from day 1, but emissions are directed in staged baselines rather than in equal split. I'm going to let the foam come down on my drinkity drink here, because I did not pour it very well. This policy prioritizes early switch price discovery while preserving routing depth and keeping stablecoin participation active from launch. Weekly adjustments are bounded and KPI driven to avoid overcorrection and bribe spend scales with treasury vote share dilution over time. 8.6, the treasury aware bribe budgeting. So SwitchX uses a treasury aware bribe policy to improve long-term capital efficiency. Bribe budgets are phase-based ceilings, then scaled by treasury vote share, so spend increases as external voting power becomes more meaningful. That's pretty cool. And you can see the as the epochs increase, the number of switch decreases. So that's fascinating. At launch, treasury-controlled voting power is expected to dominate. So protocol-funded bribes primarily serve as signaling and bootstrapping incentives rather than vote control tools. As external voting participation increases, the same framework naturally deploys more budget when bribes have higher marginal impact. Bribes are funded from treasury-controlled switch reserves, primarily the pre-mint bribe allocation, and optionally treasury emission receipts if government chooses. They are additive to normal emissions and should be managed conservatively early because direct bribes target the next period immediately. They're not drip smooth like fee rewards. Current launch policy is conservative and deterministic. The protocol funded bribes default to uh, 0 in epochs 1 and 2 when treasury vote share is at or above the activation threshold, which is default 70, and remain at 0 for epoch 3 and up, while treasury vote share stays at or above that same threshold. Once treasury share drops below activation threshold, the treasury aware scaling multiplier and optional floor begins automatically unless governance sets an explicit override. The bribe allocation across pools uses deficient aware targeting relative to vote weight baselines with concentration caps and bounded weekly shifts. Governance retains override authority for exceptional market conditions. Then 8.7, the early epoch fee recycling. In the early epochs, treasury controlled voting NFTs hold the dominant vote share and therefore earn the majority of voter facing trading fee rewards from the code. Rather than retaining all of these rewards, governance will recycle a majority of claimed fee rewards back into the gauge reward pools to bootstrap external voter participation while still preserving treasury flexibility. Recycled fees can be split across both reward paths. Incentive for immediate next period visibility, and top up pool balance for drip smooth a long tail retention. Both are additive to organic fee flow. Launch default operations are expected to recycle a majority of claimed treasury voter rewards while retaining the rest in treasury, with the recycled portion then balanced across these two reward paths according to KPI needs. This gives bootstrap voters meaningful support without turning treasury recycling into the sole driver of external participation. The recycling rate, split ratio, per pool targeting, and taper schedule are evaluated each epoch based on KPIs including external vote share growth, TVL trajectory, and trading volume trends. As external participation grows and treasury vote dominance naturally declines, the recyclable share decreases organically. The policy is designed to phase itself out. Each recycling event is published with exact amounts, mechanism used, and transaction hashes. So, guys, that is chapter 8, which talks about the voting stuff. So let's take a look at the dummy version of chapter 8, right? So the super simple summary is that SwitchX runs a weekly voting cycle. People who have a voting NFT vote for voting, who have a NFT for voting power. They vote which pools should get the switch rewards. The pools that get more votes receive more emissions. Liquidity providers in those pools earn rewards, and then the trading fees from those pools flow back to the voters who supported them. So the basic loop is voters pick the pools get the rewards, liquidity shows up, trades happen, fees go back to the voters. SwitchX adds two major twists. The first is that half of trading fees are used to buy Switch from the open market before paying the voters. And then second is that the rewards are not dumped all at once, they drip out slowly over time. So basically, the SwitchX tries to reward voters for picking productive pools while using trading fees to buy Switch and smooth the rewards out over time. So that is the dummy version of chapter 8. So now let's take a look at chapter 9. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy chapter 9 by going down to chapter 10 and then starting from there and just moving upwards. So that way we can just auto read as soon as we're ready. Wow, look at that. Bazinga. Nice and easy. Oh, that one's so small. Oh, never mind. It did turn into a PDF. That's hilarious. Okay. So ChatGPT is giving us the TLDR. While it's thinking about that, we're going to think about reading. So let's take a look. The farming and auto lock mechanism. The V4 Eternal Farming manages perpetual reward streams for liquidity providers. Unlike time-bounded farming programs, Eternal Farms can run continuously with adjustable reward rates. I had to reward myself there. Each pool can have one active incentive at a time, consisting of a primary reward token, an optional bonus reward token, a virtual pool that tracks a reward accrual using the same tick math as the underlying automated market maker, and a minimum position width requirement to prevent gaming via dust positions. Positions are automatically enrolled in farming when minted through Farming Center under an active incentive. The farming system is open to external projects. Any holder of the code can create and manage their own farming programs with custom reward tokens using on any SwitchX pool. Anyone can add additional rewards to active programs. For the complete guide, a front-end farming admin panel is coming soon. The auto lock mechanism. The auto lock system is SwitchX mechanism for compounding governance alignment through farming rewards. When a user claims Switch farming rewards, a configurable percentage is automatically locked into a voting NFT at maximum duration 2 years. How it works. As farming rewards accrue, they are split into 2 buckets, the fee rewards and the locked rewards. Fee rewards are claimable and transferable immediately, and the locked rewards are earmarked for automatic voting NFT locking. The split is determined by the auto lock percentage, which is configured per pool with a tiered approach. We got native pools, non-native pools, vampire pools, on-chain cap, per pool override, and default fallback. So the native pools are 50% auto locked and they balance governance compounding with farmer liquidity. The non-native pools are 75% auto locked, standard non-switch pool, lighter friction for routing backbone. The vampire pools are 90% auto locked, maximum anti-mercenary protection with zero impermanent loss stablecoin pair where farmers have no need for a liquid switch. The on-chain cap is 100% maximum enforced in some code thing. I don't know what that means. The per pool override allows governance to adjust each pool independently, and the default fallback applies to pools without explicit configuration. When a user claims locked rewards, the reward tokens are forwarded into a shared autolock manager by using both some code and some other code. If immediately lock-on claim is enabled, the manager first tries to top up the user preferred voting NFT if the user explicitly approved that NFT to the manager and registered it as the preferred target. If no valid preferred target exists, the manager falls back onto creating a fresh voting NFT at full. Max time only users who had already opted into a preferred target get that stored target refreshed to the newly minted fallback lock. If active lock execution falls during claim processing, the amount is reserved as manager held locked credits instead of reverting the claim. If immediately lock on claim is disabled, all locking rewards are reserved as manager held locking credits. Reserved credits are unified per these things across farming and ALM distributor flows. So some code can consume a single aggregate balance even if credits originated in multiple contracts. During an emergency pause, the manager stops new voting escrow interactions but still accepts newly reserved credits, preserving claims and unified accounting while disabling the risky external call path. The autolock manager is also the canonical event source for claim time autolock outcomes. Some code when claim time locking is deferred or fails, some code when claim time locking succeeds, and then manual deferred credit consumption remains manager native via some more code. Exempt accounts. Addresses with some code receive 100% of rewards as free no auto lock. This is used for ALM vault contracts, protocol owned positions, and any address the administrator designates. The per pool burn lock mode. In addition to max time decaying locks, pools can be configured to use burn lock mode. When the pool's auto lock configuration specifies burn lock, the locked portion of rewards is routed through some code to create permanent irreversible burn NFTs via some code. Burn locks grant 2 times permanent voting power that never decays, incentivizing the strongest possible governance alignment. Burn credits are tracked separately from max lock credits. To prevent bypass, if a pool mandates burn only locking, users cannot redirect those credits into a decaying max lock. Burn locks consolidate into a single burn NFT per some code. The first burn creates a fresh burn voting NFT and auto stores it as a user's burn target. Subsequent burns top up the same NFT once the user approves the autolock manager on that NFT. Users can set or clear their burn target via some code. Clearing removes the current pointer, but the next successful code fallback will auto store the new burn NFT again. Users must approve the autolock manager on their burn NFT for consolidation to work. If the burn lock attempt fails, credits are reserved as burn credits claimable later via some code. A pool's lock mode is immutable once set. The governance cannot retroactively reclassify rewards between max lock and burn lock. The enabled flag only decides whether the pool uses its own percentage override or the default percentage. If it does not alter burn versus max routing once the mode is set. If it does not alter burn versus max routing once the mode is set. This gives governance the flexibility to designate certain pools for permanent burn lock commitment, while others remain as standard max time locks. Why auto lock matters. Without the auto lock, farming emissions below the typical V3 pattern. Farmers receive tokens, sell immediately, price drops, emissions become less valuable, TVL decreases. Autolock breaks this cycle by ensuring that a significant portion of emissions are recycled back into governance commitments, creating compounding voting power for active participants and reducing immediate sell pressure. Very cool. All right, we're about to get into the MEV system, which is going to be crazy. But before we do, let's check out. Oh my goodness, there seems to be. There it is. The the super simple summary. So basically, the SwitchX farming rewards are designed to stop people from just farming tokens and dumping them. Liquidity providers can earn Switch rewards, but part of those rewards can be automatically locked in governments. This means that farmers don't just get free tokens to sell. They're pushed into becoming long-term participants, and different pools have different auto-lock levels. The Switch pools are lighter, the non-Switch pools are stronger, and then the Vampire and stablecoin pools are very, very strong. So essentially, all that in one sentence. The SwitchX farming tries to turn farmers into governors instead of letting them farm, dump, and then disappear. So, getting people involved, basically. Not a terrible, terrible plan. Let's copy that, give me the dummy version, and move on to the next. Ba-boom. So, next up, we've got number 10. So, we'll jump down to 11 and copy our way on up to the top of 10. Bam. So the MEV recapture system, and I just let go. Ah, man, why is my mouse letting go for me? You should not be doing that, Mr. Mousy Mouse. Woohoo. All right. Bam, the MEV recapture system. So, Control C. Give me the dummy version of this, Mr. Shot GPT. All right, so ChatGPT is thinking, and it's time for us to start reading. Chapter 10, MEV Recapture. In any automated market maker, price movements create arbitrage opportunities. When the AMM price diverges from the broader market price, bots extract the difference through arbitrage trades. In traditional system, this value is entirely captured by external factors, rather than the protocol or its users. On Pulse Chain, the primary arbitrage value is between SwitchX pools and PulseX. Every price moving swap on SwitchX creates a potential arbitrage opportunity against the corresponding PulseX pool. SwitchX implements an after-swap hook-based MEV recapture system through the plugin, which I won't read. The route model. Repayment routes are explicit per token direction. Stablecoin routes use PulseX stable swap for tighter repayment pricing. Mixed routes support volatile stable hop composition, where stable hops are pinned to stable pools and volatile hops dynamically select the cheaper PulseX V1 V2 pair at execution time. Same pool V4 flash is intentionally unsupported. Cross pool flash sources are configured per token. If all bounded same transaction candidates fail, the hook still fails open, and later corrective flow falls back to the external actor path described in section 5.3, where the cross-dex oracle fee captures part of that residual value. When the MEV executor performs its backrun trade through the SwitchX pool, the protocol recognizes it as an internal swap. Internal swaps receive special treatment. Zero swap fee. The executor pays no fees on its routing leg through the SwitchX Sentinel. No backrun or LVR surcharge. Both the backrun fee plugin and the CrossDex Oracle fee plugin are bypassed for internal swaps. And full hook execution, farming virtual pool ticks, and other enabled managed accounting still update to maintain consistency. Complementary relationship with LVR protection. The MEV recapture system and the cross-DEX oracle fee work together to capture value from cross-DEX arbitrage. The MEV executor performs the pool's own background trades at near zero cost, capturing the arbitrage profit for V3 voters. For any residual cross-DEX deviation that the protocol's bot doesn't capture, the cross-DEX oracle fee ensures that external ARB bots still pay a proportional surcharge, meaning the LP value is protected regardless of who executes the corrected trade. Profit distribution. Profits from the MEV recapture are distributed as V3 voting rewards, flowing through the same drip voting reward system as regular trading fees. MEV profits are smoothed over time. Voters who direct emissions to MEV active pools earn more as opposed to traditional V3 that allows external actors to capture the MEV profits. The protocol captures value that would otherwise leave the ecosystem. A dynamic portion of the profits are distributed to the protocol treasury to mitigate the need for token sales. The MEV executor is configured with PulseX factory addresses for both V1 and V2. Operational defaults. Stable swap repayment routes are enabled for USDC DAI directions. Mixed repayment routes are enabled for USDC Pulse directions through DAI. V4 flash borrow path is guarded by a global kill switch and is enabled by default at launch. For direct PulseX benchmark ARBs, the executor compares the direct PulseX pair and V4 flash resolved repayment costs when both sources can fully support the same borrow. It prefers the direct PulseX pair only when that path is not more expensive, keeping V4 available for cheaper routed repay executions and fallback depth. The off-chain arbitrage keeper uses bounded ARB or per ARB sizing only for modeled V4 flash opportunities at launch. It finds the first profitable borrow and then upsizes within a discrepancy scaled band instead of always pushing to the maximum profitable notional. PulseX pair and self-funded opportunities to keep full max profit sizing. This targets the observed V4 overshoot mode while still allowing repeated same cycle corrective ARBs. Self-funded mode, when the executor contract holds token balances, it uses them directly instead of borrowing, eliminating the borrowing fee per arbitrage. After the MEV swap, a buyback restores the spent tokens from the output. Failed ARBs revert automatically, so there's no loss of capital. Ship's Dark activation sequence, fund executor monitor instant rollback. I don't know what any of that fucking means, but there you guys go. Let's see what ChatGPT says about that. Super simple summary is that SwitchX is trying to catch some of the money that bots usually steal from DEX trading. Normally, when prices get out of line between two exchanges, bots jump in, fix the price, and keep the profit. What SwitchX does says basically, instead of letting random outside bots take all that value, the protocol should try and capture it and send it back to voters in the treasury. So when a trade happens on SwitchX, the protocol can immediately check if there's an arbitrage opportunity against PulseX. If there is, then SwitchX's own MEV system can try to grab that profit first. So basically, SwitchX wants the protocol and its voters to capture MEV profits instead of letting outside bots drain that value from the ecosystem. I wonder if it's kind of like, there's crumbs falling off the table, and before the dog gets it on the floor, you like catch the crumbs and put it back on your plate or something, or put it on someone else's plate. Oh man, that's my analogy. So that's pretty cool. It stops the MEV bots. We like that, and we like to party. We like to party. All right, let's see. What is next? Dirty next. Will, this is very heavy, and you are killing it. Thank you, good sir. I agree. It's heavy, and I'm not going to lie. I know how to read these words, but I don't know what the fuck they mean, bro. So I'm doing my best. And hey, I got the ChatGPT here to keep the peanut brains like me and the folks at home who just don't know what the hell any of this means, to keep us all informed and everything. So it basically sounds like it's pretty cool protocol. So I like it so far. All right, so next up we've got Chapter 11 with the automated liquidity management. So what we're going to do is we're going to shoot down to Chapter 12, and we're going to start copying everything from here on. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of charts. Man, some people do be loving them charts. All right, Chapter 11. Copy. and piggity paste for the dummy version on ChatGPT. All right, so while ChatGPT is cooking up an answer for us, let's go ahead and take a look at chapter 11. So we've got automated liquidity management. We've got the ALM vault architecture. Each ALM vault is an ERC20 contract that wraps concentrated liquidity positions into a fungible vault's shares. Users deposit tokens and receive shares representing their proportional claim on the vault's assets. Each vault manages two positions simultaneously. You got a base position and a limit position. So the base is wide range, the limit is narrow range. The base position provides broad liquidity coverage and resilience to price movements. The limit position captures the majority of fees by concentrating liquidity near the current price. Together, they balance capital efficiency against impermanent loss risk. Non-straddling range construction. Both positions are constructed as non-straddling ranges. Neither position spans the current tick. Instead, they sit on opposite sides of the current price, oriented by the vault's deposit token. The side-specific placement ensures that each position accumulates the token it's designed to hold as price moves through it. The current tick is rounded to tick spacing boundaries to produce anchor points, and each range is clamped so it cannot cross the anchor into the opposite side. Range widths are calculated as a percentage of the slow TWAP price, time weighted average position percentage, time weighted average percentage, maybe, then converted to tick deltas symmetric around the anchor. An important operational consequence is that pool level liquidity can be zero immediately after a fresh non-straddling rebalance if no other LP is currently straddling the active tick. The vault is still correctly activated as long as it has minted positions, and swaps can move price into those ranges. One-sided deposits. Each vault is configured with allow token 0 and allow token 1 flags. In a typical dual vault deployment per pool, Vault 1 accepts token 0 denominated deposits, and Vault 2 accepts token 1 in denominated deposits. This simplifies the user experience. Depositors provide a single asset, and the vault handles the rest. For automated compounding, after share mint on deposit, vaults execute a best effort increased liquidity compounding pass after base position first, and then limit with the remaining idle balances. Managers can also trigger manual best effort idle compounding through a roll gated vault function. Compounding is non-blocking by design. If the add liquidity path fails, the deposit still succeeds and funds remain idle until the next rebalance compound attempt. Hybrid Rebalancer Manager. The Hybrid Rebalance Manager implements a volatility adaptive state machine that controls when and how vault positions are balanced. So we've got a couple states here. We got normal, older, under, and special. So this determines like what the conditions are, and this determines the reactions. So you guys can take a look at that. But that's basically a nice little matrix there. So for time weighted average percentage position, man, I'm just going to look up what does TWAP stand for because I should have known this. What does TWAP stand for? I bet it's time weighted. Oh, dang it. I wrote it VWAP. Oh, wait, no. TWAP. No, AI. I said TWAP. Well, VWAP stands for volume weighted average price. So I guess TWAP is time weighted average price. So there we go. Excellent, excellent. All right. So TWAP, the rebalance manager uses two time weighted average price windows to evaluate market conditions. So you got your fast, you got your slow, right? For short term and for medium term price trend. Rebalancing is triggered through the ALM plugins after swap hook when sufficient TWAP history is available. The swap is not a MEV internal swap. The system is not already in a rebalance, and the price deviation exceeds the configured threshold. The rebalance cadence guards. Once triggered, the rebalance decision passes through a cascade of safety gates before execution. So these are some of the guards, the mechanisms, and the effects. You guys can check out that matrix yourself under chapter 12 of the white paper on the link that I sent you at the beginning of the stream. These guards execute in priority order. Extreme volatility is checked first if immediately fail closed, then time throttle, then volatility settlement, And finally, tick with validation. A rebalance only proceeds if all 4 gates pass. The manager updates last rebalance timestamp on successful rebalance execution and on no need with pending housekeeping updates. Too soon deferrals do not update it. Then we got volatility tiers. The manager classifies market conditions into volatility tiers and adjusts position widths accordingly. Thresholds are configurable per pool. We got a bunch of different tiers here: low, high, and extreme. So 300 bips, 2500 bips, or 8000 bips, BPS, whatever that means. Boy, boys per Sierra. That's what BPS stands for. With configuration, pool is type aware, or with configuration is pool type aware. So we've got base normal, limit normal, base high, limit high, and the corresponding numbers. Volatile pairs use wide day zero safety margins for launch stablecoin or for launch. Stablecoin pairs use tight ranges for capital efficiency near the 1-to-1 peg. Stablecoin managers also apply tighter volatility gates. There's some code to detect and react even small depegging events earlier. We've got some operational parameters here. Not going to worry about that too much, but there you guys go if you want to check it out. All thresholds are validated on chain at configuration time to ensure internal consistency. Some code. See the project's launch checklist for recommended day zero parameter values per pool type. Then we've got the rebalance lifestyle. When all cadence guards pass, the vault executes a complete position teardown and reconstruction in a single atomic transaction. We got Oracle validation. Verify TWAP Oracle freshness. If stale, a rebalance manager exits gracefully, while external callers receive stale Oracle data. The tick alignment. Validate that proposed ranges align to the pool's live tick spacing and that base limit positions are distinct. Reward collection. Collect accrued farming rewards from both existing positions before teardown. Then we've got position teardown. Remove 100% of liquidity from both positions. Collect all tokens, including accrued fees, and burn the position NFTs. Then there's fee distribution. Distribute collected fees to configured recipients. After that, optional swap. If the rebalance manager specifies a non-zero swap quantity, execute an in-pool swap to rebalance the vault's token composition for the new ranges. Then there's position reconstruction, which is mint the base position first with the vault's full token balances, then mint the limit position with the remaining tokens. Position IDs are updated automatically. The base first minting order is intentional. The wide range base position arbs the majority of both tokens, and the narrow range limit position concentrates whatever remains into a tighter range for higher fee capture. After that, 11.3 farming integration. The ALM vault positions are automatically enrolled in farming incentives when they are minted during rebalance. Since positions are owned by the vault contract, the vault collects farming rewards on behalf of depositor. ALM vaults are granted the code so that farming rewards remain liquid for rebalancing operations. Then after that, 11.4 time weighted average price manipulation guards. To prevent Oracle manipulation attacks on deposits and withdrawals, the vault implements a TWAP based sanity check. So you've got TWAP period of 30 seconds and TWAP period of 24 hours. So one prevents flash loan data manipulation or flash loan manipulation, and then the other prevents stale data. So these are good to have. Deposit and withdrawal pricing uses the TWAP price rather than the instantaneous spot price, making sandwich attacks on vault operations unprofitable. So that's some good information on the ALM, on the automated liquidity management, which is pretty fucking nifty. Let's move on over to the Chat GPT and see what it has to tell the peanut brains like me about Chapter 11. So the super simple summary is that the Simplex has robot managed liquidity vaults. So instead of making users manually change complicated concentrated liquidity positions, you can just deposit a token into an ALM vault and receive vault shares. So then the vault handles all the hard stuff, placing liquidity, moving the ranges, collecting the fees, compounding, farming rewards, and rebalancing when the market conditions changes. So each vault uses 2 liquidity positions. You've got a wide position for safety and broad coverage, and you've got a narrow position for earning more fees near the current price. Basically, if we were to wrap the whole chapter up, it's the ALM vaults on SwitchX are designed to let regular users provide concentrated liquidity without babysitting their positions all day. That is the TLDR of the entire thing. So pretty fucking neat stuff, if you ask me. I quite like it. So now we're going to capture that chat GPT prompt, and we're going to copy chapter number 12 and throw that bitch in there. So that way, while we read chapter 12, the AI will be thinking about what is the holy moly. There are 8 subchapters in this one. My goodness, that's the good stuff. That's the kind of stuff that makes me forget about my problems. We like it. We like it. We like it. We love it. All right. Copy and paste. Ooh, and we've got some chats as well. We're going to go ahead and do it. We've got from Brandon himself, Mr. RagsToRiches. Great work. Thank you, sir. I am certainly trying this. This is a lot of big words. Not big words, but big concepts for my simple mind. So, fortunately, I know what the words mean in English and I can read them at a pace that makes sense. And also, fortunately, ChatGPT is really helping me interpret this very complicated thing. I have a very short attention span and a very tough time like understanding big long sentences all strung together. I try and compress everything down to super simple ideas. So the chat GPT is certainly helping. But yeah, dude, this is a good white paper. Lots of great data in here. Also, we've got Mr. World of Cars 01. Is this Brandon guy the one that rugged Alamo? I don't know. But I hear that the Alamo is never going to be forgotten. If you guys have ever gone down to San Antonio, Texas, then you can go and hang out over at the Alamo. It's a cool place. I've been there a time or two. I think when I was a kid, we bought some like snap cap guns. So shout out to Texas and shout out to people that own cars and things. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that Brandon's ever rugged anything. And if he has, I probably wouldn't even care because he's a cool dude and he does some cool shit. And you know, the real like whether people rug things or not, it's like everyone participates voluntarily in everything they participate in. So if you bought tokens in X, Y, and Z person that did X, Y, and Z result, then you're the one that's responsible for buying the tokens and doing the due diligence and understanding what you're doing. And like, you know, who fucking cares, man? We ain't got no time for drama on the internet. Ain't nobody got time for that. It's like, wow, this guy fucking pulled my hair. It's like, shut up, bitch. Get back to working. Get back to making the world a better place. So that's what I've got to say about that. Anyways, we're having a good time, and Brandon puts out a lot of quality stuff, a lot of great thinking, a lot of great products, and Brendan also seems to agree with me. Get back to fucking work, bitch. Go make some money. Go stop whining on the internet. But yeah, here we go. So shout out to you, broski. Shout out to you. Chapter 12, the security model. Let's see what we got here. So there's transfer security 1.1 or 12.1. All token transfers in the core protocol use the callback pattern that you guys will remember from section 4.4, ensuring that no tokens are credited without the actual receipt, that flash loan attacks cannot manipulate state between credit and debit, and that reentry is prevented through state validation. The plugin attachment model, chapter 12.2. SwitchX launches with a code thing pointed to another code thing so that permissionless public pools inherit the security plugin free default plugin automatically. The active birth time hook set is limited to adaptive fee Oracle after swap logic, while more invasive managed features still require explicit per pool configuration. This launch posture removes protocol level pause disable controls from the default public pool path while preserving role gated plugin placement, repair, and deeper managed configuration for curated pools. 12.3, the Oracle manipulation guards. Multiple layers of time-weighted average price-based protection prevent Oracle manipulation. ALM vault deposits and withdrawals use TWAP pricing instead of spot. Fee buyback swaps, Oracle slippage checks, short-term, long-term TWAP must pass before execution. Rebalance triggers, TWAP comparison, fast versus slow, prevents rebalancing on manipulated prices, and drip voting rewards. Number 4, no vote protection prevents releasing rewards into periods without claimants. After that, we got the access control. So role-based access control is enforced throughout the protocol. Here's some of the roles and here's some of the controls, as well as the scope that they can do it in. I'll let you guys read that chart yourself. There's no point in me reading charts out to you. Once upon a time, there was a bunch of people and they did things under conditions, and everyone else lived happily ever after. 12.5 upgradability. Critical operational contracts, voting escrow, voter minter, protocol fee manager. Use the UUPS proxy pattern with some code for secure ownership transfers. Upgrades require explicit acceptance by the new owner, preventing accidental or malicious ownership changes. The Switch governance token is deployed as an immutable contract, no proxy, with standard code to maximize trust on DexScreener and similar platforms. Only its owner role something is subject to governance transfer. Additional safeguards. They've got the re-entry guards. All state modifying functions in the voter layer use some code. Safe ERC20. All token transfers use Open Zeppelin's Safe ERC20 to handle non-standard ERC20 implementations. Overflow protection. Solidity 0.8x, 0.8.x. Built-in overflow checks. Supplemented by Safecast for critical conversions. Drip voting reward DOS protection. Catch-up is kept at 52 periods per call to prevent unbounded gas consumption. Reward fan-out guidance. Reward contracts are not hard-capped on-chain because permissionless incentive tracking must not be able to block out later fee forwarding. Operationally keep distinct reward tokens per gauge low, so all token claim and accounting loops retain comfortable gas headroom. Minimum shares plus deterministic bootstrap. ALM vaults enforce a hard minimum share amount, reject deposits that would round down, and launch scripts bootstrap any Launch scripts bootstrap any empty vault with a minimal initial deposit to further reduce first deposit and inflation donation windows before public flow. 12.7, by the way, guys, 12.7 is one of the best chapters or anything because 12.7 is exactly half an inch. And so 50 cals shoot 12.7 millimeter bullets. So there you go. Or 50 caliber, whatever you want to call it. Haha. Governance decentralization roadmap. At launch, the deployer address holds admin keys for operational agility during the bootstrapping phase. The protocol follows a deliberate three-phase decentralization path. Phase 1, launch. So for weeks 0 through 4, the deployer retains direct ownership of upgradable contracts to enable rapid responses to any issues discovered in the live environment. All admin actions are logged and auditable on-chain. Phase 2, time lock transfer, post-stabilization. Once the protocol is operating smoothly, ownership of all government contracts, both upgradable and immutable with admin functions, is transferred to the SwitchX time block on Open Zeppelin with a configurable minimum delay. This ensures that all upgrades and parameter changes are publicly queued before execution, giving the community time to review and react. Note, the Switch token is deployed as an immutable contract with no proxy to maximize trust on DexScreener and similar platforms. Only its owner role controlling setminter transfers to the time lock. Phase 3, the community governance. Proposer and executor roles on the time lock are transitioned to a community multisig on-chain governance module, completing the path from deployer controlled to community governed. The Switch time lock contract is deployed as part of the protocol's periphery infrastructure and is ready for ownership transfer from day 1. 12.8 risk factors. Users should be aware of the following risks inherent to the SwitchX protocol and DeFi participation generally. Smart contract risk. Despite multiple audits, Section 15, smart contracts may contain undiscovered vulnerabilities. Novel features introduce complexity beyond the audited upstream Uniswap v3 engine. Impermanent loss. Concentrated liquidity positions, whether managed directly or through ALM vaults, are subject to impermanent loss when price moves significantly. ALM vault automation reduces but does not eliminate this risk. Oracle manipulation. While time-weighted average price-based predictions guard against flash loan manipulation, Sustained multi-block price manipulation could potentially affect fee buyback pricing, ALM rebalance triggers, or deposit withdrawal valuations. Admin key risk. During the launch phase, phase 1, the deployer retains direct control over upgradable contracts. A compromise of the deployer key could result in malicious upgrades. This risk is mitigated by the planned time lock transfer. Pulse chain dependencies. SwitchX is deployed exclusively on Pulse chain. Users are exposed to chain level risks, including validator concentration, network congestion, RPC availability, and bridge security for assets bridged from other chains. Liquidity risk. Low liquidity pools may experience high slippage, and MEV recapture profitability depends on sufficient liquidity depth on both SwitchX and PulseX. Irreversibility of burn locks. Burn locks permanently destroy the underlying switch tokens. This is by design, but users should understand that burn tokens can never be recovered regardless of future circumstances. And then we have regulatory uncertainty. The regulatory status of DeFi protocols, governance tokens, and V3 mechanisms varies by jurisdiction and may change over time. So, what sets SwitchX apart? We're about to find out after we get the super simple dummy version of chapter 12. So basically, SwitchX has oh shoot, I never pasted that in there. My goodness. Oh no, I did paste it, but I never sent it. So we're gonna go ahead and send it for the chat GPT. It's currently thinking, searching docs. Oh, it's thought for 4 seconds. So the super simple summary is SwitchX's security model is basically don't trust blindly, check everything, limit who can change dangerous settings, use average prices instead of easily manipulated instant prices, start with admin control, then move toward time lock and community governance. The protocol uses callback checks for token transfers, TWAP Oracle protections, and role-based permissions, upgrade controls, and phased decentralization plan. But the white paper also admits the risks. Smart contracts have bugs, liquidity providers can lose money, and admin keys are powerful early on. So then Pulse Chain itself has the risks. So burn locks are permanent. In one sentence, SwitchX is trying to launch with strong safety rails, but users still need to understand that DeFi always carries smart contract, admin, liquidity, Oracle, and market risks. So there you go. We're going to copy the prompt and then paste it. And then we're going to copy a chapter 13 and see what we got here. So Chapator, oh my goodness. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. Control V. All right. Sick. Take me back to chapter 13. So what sets SwitchX apart? The fundamental difference, fixed supply versus perpetual inflation. That is the fundamental difference. Every major V3 protocol to date, Solidly, Velodrome, Aerodrome, Thena, Equalizers, shares a common structural weakness, perpetual token inflation with no supply cap. We've heard that quite a few times in this white paper already, so this is a good reiteration. Governance locks in this system are a treadmill, high initial percentages that dilute indefinitely as supply exceeds. So there's some data for you guys. SwitchX inverts this dynamic entirely. Because supply is hard capped and actively contracts through burn mechanisms, governance power strengthens over time rather than diluting. The 15 million burn lock, what the heck? Oh my goodness. Oh, that's what's going on. Sorry guys, I'm messing with my little heater because my legs are cold. SwitchX inverts this dynamic entirely. Because the supply is hard capped and actively contracts through burn mechanisms, governance power strengthens over time rather than diluting. The 15 million burn lock is permanently removed from circulation. And as early exit penalties burn additional tokens, the burn lock's share of remaining supply increases. This is why SwitchX does not need anti-dilution rebases, while every other V3 protocol does. There is no perpetual dilution to protect against. The system is designed so that doing nothing, simply holding a burn lock, makes you a relatively stronger over time, not weaker. So there's some comparisons. Wow, I am not going to read all those, but that's a pretty cool field for you guys. And then next, we've got some more information. So here's a good chart. That's pretty cool. I like that it's an ASCI. Very fun. Each mechanism reinforces the others. Burn locks reduce supply and increase token voting power. Auto lock ensures farming rewards and compounds into governance rather than selling pressure. Fee buybacks create constant switch demand from protocol revenue. Early exit burns remove tokens while rewarding committed voters. Drip rewards smooth volatility, making governance yields more predictable. MEV recapture returns leak value to voters and protocol treasury. LVR protection ensures cross-dex arbitrage profits are shared with LPs. Adaptive fees optimize revenue capture across market conditions, and ALM vaults maximize capital efficiency and fee generation. 13.4 Terminal emissions and the end game. After 2.5 years, Switch reaches a fundamentally different equilibrium than any perpetual emission protocol. There's no new supply. The Switch tokens that will exist are already in circulation, minus the ones that are burned. The ongoing demand is going to keep going because the fee buybacks continue indefinitely as long as the protocol generates trading volume. There's progressive scarcity, so you got burn locks, early exit penalties, and fee buybacks continuously reduce circulating supply. And then there's self-sustaining governance, where the voting NFT holders are rewarded purely from protocol revenue, not from inflationary emissions. This creates a protocol where long-term holders benefit from a progressively favorable supply-demand dynamic without relying on continuous growth to offset dilution. The post-emission sustainability. So years 3 and up. A common objection to fixed supply tokenomics is what happens when emissions end. Won't liquidity providers leave? SwitchX is designed to be self-sustaining after emissions end through multiple revenue streams that do not depend on token inflation. Trading fee revenue. So liquidity providers can earn swap fees directly from trading volume. This is the fundamental LP incentive that exists independent of any emission schedule. And it's the same mechanism that sustains Uniswap, Curve, and every other fee-generating automated market maker. There's fee buyback demand. The protocol fee manager continues to buy Switch on the open market using 50% of all trading fees, creating a persistent demand side pressure that replaces emission driven incentives. Then there's community funded farming, where V4 Eternal Farming supports permissionless reward top ups. Any party, the Treasury, partner protocols, or community DAOs can fund farming incentives for specific pools by depositing reward tokens directly. This enables targeted, sustainable incentive programs without protocol level inflation. The voting NFT revenue compounding. Voters who have accumulated burn locks and auto locked positions continue earning trading fees, MEV capture rewards, and early exit penalty distributions. The lack of dilution from new emissions means that these revenue streams become relatively more valuable over time. Then there's progressive scarcity. Each year after emissions end, burn locks, early exit penalties, and fee buybacks continue reducing circulating supply, making the remaining tokens scarcer while revenue generation continues. The key insight is that emissions are a bootstrapping mechanism, not a permanent dependency. Once sufficient TVL and trading volume are established, the protocol sustains itself through the same fee based economics that power every successful decentralized exchange. So, next we've got some math, which I'm not going to go to until we read the dummy version of chapter 13 of what sets SimpleX apart. It's different because it doesn't want to be another endless token printing farm. That's it. That's it. Most V3 protocols keep printing tokens forever, so like old holders get diluted over time unless they constantly fight to keep up. So SwitchX doesn't do that. Has a fixed max supply, ends after 2 years, and yeah, and it's got a whole bunch of things that reduce supply over time. So the other V3 systems get weak from endless inflation, while SwitchX gets long-term holders to get stronger as supply contracts and revenue keeps flowing. So boiled down into one sentence, into one thought, SwitchX is trying to replace permanent inflation with permanent alignment, buybacks, fee revenue, MEV recapture, and token scarcity. So there you guys go. That is the meat and potatoes of this here white paper. Look at all this math. I'm going to copy and paste this math and throw it into ChatGPT and be like, hey, bro, what's the TLDR of this? Wow, wee, whoa. Bam. Control C and Control V. Gimme. the dummy interpretation of this. Bam. Let's see what this looks like. Ooh. So that's the homework, basically, is what ChatGPT says. This section is basically SwitchX showing its homework, how emissions are calculated, how governance power might evolve, how supply can shrink later, blah 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 blah. Cool. So there you guys go. That is the SwitchX white paper. So thank you to Brandon RagsToRiches for making this nifty thing. And yeah, that's what we got, guys. Full motherfucking send. Let's get after it. So with that, ladies and germs,
Hey, Will.
yeah,
Just want to check on the last comment.
yes. Oh, yeah, your headset, we can hear you. We can hear quite a bit of background noise, but we can hear you. If you have a thought that you would like to give to the folks at home, Mr. Brendan the Anonymous Bean, we would love to hear it. And if not, then that's okay, and I will go ahead and push to move to close. Man, I know you came off mute, but it sounded like you were speaking into something that was not your microwave, not your microphone. It was so far away, dude. If you can type something into the private chat, I'll be able to read it for the folks at home. We could not hear you at all, or at least I couldn't. Perhaps I don't think it's my headset because I heard all of the static in the background noise earlier. But yeah, broski, if I see your little insignia thing come off of mute here in the near future, then I will make a move to give you a point to speak. But if you got any thoughts, broski, type them into the private chat and I will read them for the folks at home. Other than that, there is oh, look at that. We've got Brandon RagsToRiches there. There we go. Well done, a bear of a white paper. Dude, that is definitely a bear of a white paper. I gotta say, like, wow, that was probably the most difficult white paper that I've ever read. And I've done, I think on the DGen Roundtable Book Club, we covered the Bitcoin one first, and then we did Ethereum, then we did Hex, and I think we did one more, but I'm not positive. But yeah, dude, yours is definitely this is definitely a bear of a white paper. But you did your homework, and everything is well documented. It is well written. Like, there's a lot of thinking and a lot of stuff in there that's just like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around while I'm reading it. But the TLDRs, man, it really helps a whole lot. So thank you for making this protocol. And folks, again, this protocol is live. It launched a week ago. I think Brendan was saying earlier. So if you guys want to go and check it out, it's yep, there it is. It is live, launched about a week ago. So token launch was flawless and everything went great. So good to see. Thank you, Brendan, for assisting and keeping me company on this journey. Even though you're flying and stuff, that's fucking awesome, broski. I love it. I think this is our first time having a one of the hosts on the airplane while flying, but or while the show's going. So
Well, can you see my comment in the private chat?
Oh, I can't see your comment, but your sound is actually quite good right now. Okay, let's see. If the DEX becomes the most used on a chain, their token becomes quite valuable. We suggested Arrow on base before most knew about it, and our community made a lot of money. Not financial advice, but this could be good. Yes, Aerodrome was a fantastic success, despite all of their flaws and things. But yeah, if the decentralized exchange becomes the most used on the chain, then the token becomes valuable. And this protocol, this DEX seems pretty fucking sweet. So switch.win, or excuse me, not switch.win, SwitchX seems pretty fucking fascinating. So pay attention, guys. Again, Pay attention. Pay attention. The DGen Roundtable did suggest Arrow on base. I don't remember. I was not a part of that conversation because I never paid attention to that. But that's awesome. I see you came off mute, Brendan. What's up?
I was gonna say that was J and I, but yeah, great job. That was a heavy white paper, but
That was a heavy white paper, bro. Super fun, but excellent. Thank you for hopping in. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the folks at home for being here. Thank you for Brandon and Brendan for both what you guys have done. So freaking awesome. RagsToRiches, and thank you, Brendan, for securing this interview coming up soon, and for letting me know that this thing exists. So, and thank you to the folks at home. You guys watching is one of the big reasons that we'd like to do this. I love when people watch, when people interact, and thank you to Battle Hardened Sniper, our #1 ninja watcher. I don't know if you're out there watching right now, broski, but you're getting yourself a little chat motherfucking shout out. So, excellent, excellent, excellent. Ladies and germs, we've got Brendan up in the air. He is either going on an adventure or returning from an adventure. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time. He's got a Dragon Ball Z guy on his shirt. Man, I am very ashamed of myself that I don't know the Dragon Ball Z characters other than Piccolo and I think maybe Frieza. But anyways, that's friggin' sick, dude. I love it. So, as far as announcements goes, you guys can find Brendan the Anonymous Bean over on Twitter at anonymous_bean. You can also find him in the DGen Roundtable Telegram by scanning that QR code that's up there in the corner. So go check it out. You can find me in there as well, and everything that else that I do over the DGen Roundtable Telegram. Go to t.me/DRT join now. That's where we can be found. And other than that, we stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday right here on YouTube and right here on X. We go live at 8 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesday, we talk to guests. On Friday, we cover books and white papers. And then on Sunday, we cover the weekly news. So look forward to this Sunday's weekly news. It's freaking awesome. And also, shout out to Starlink for letting me participate. That's so cool, man, that you can stream from inside an airplane because of Starlink. Freaking awesome. I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, it's like, who would have thought? I had no clue. So airplane mode is about to go bye-bye with the invention of this cool new tech. So very good. DGen Roundtable, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Brendan the Anonymous Bean, t.me/Will Stevenson. You guys can find us here. We're queer. We're going to drink some beer, and we're going to have quite a few cheers. So excellent to have you guys with us. And with that, I would like to thank you all for spending your time here with us on the DGen Roundtable. As we like to often say, we know that time is your most valuable asset, and we appreciate you spending it right here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Stevenson. His name is Brendan the Anonymous Bean, but more importantly, you have been watching the DGen Roundtable, and I'm the producer. I got to get my trigger finger ready because it's time to remind all the folks at home to remember to DGen responsibly.